We really wanted to roll the car out today and show you the last little bit of work we're going to do to it before we fire it up. But it's like 26 out here. So we're going to migrate inside because this Florida boy is cold. Before we fire up, I am going to drain the crankcase. I got a little bit of heavy-duty oil anxiety. Reading up on the specs, my favorite Supertech oil, which I switched over to probably 10 years ago from all the name brand heavy-duty engine oils, and they call them HDEOs or diesel oil, comes in the 1540 flavor. They traditionally have a high content of zinc in them, which they call ZDDP, which is zinc dialkyl dilithium phosphate. Added benefits of having high doses of the zinc in there were the anti-wear properties for the flat tappet engines. So, time marches on. Every engine on the face of the planet that's new is a roller lifter engine virtually. And so using the heavy-duty diesel oil, which always had a high dose of the zinc, was a good way to get around the newly formulated motor oils that they started doing, I guess going on 20 years now, at least 15. And realizing people were having problems. First of all, people realized that they couldn't break in a cam like they used to because the lobes would flatten, even on name brand cams, not just like a white box China-made cam. So up through the CJ rating, this oil was really good. And on Bitog, which is Bob is the oil guy, and no, I'm not that guy, these tested around 1,400 parts per million zinc up through the CJ rating. This oil is now CK4 rated. And from what I've gleaned on the internet, that is about 800 parts per million now. Now they are still able to pass this, like the SCAR test and some other things they do really well at, but the SCAR test is not necessarily indicative of how long your flat tappet cam is going to live. So, and that's a whole other topic of discussion. And I'm not a chemist, and I'm not a master engine builder. I'm just trying to get this engine back to life and take as little risk as I can of having to go back into this engine again because I put the wrong motor oil in it. So what I decided to do is go with the Valvoline VR1. 20W50 flavor. Now the one thing that I will say about the Valvoline, they do have this claim of high zinc, and a lot of motor oil manufacturers were doing that, and the oil analysis were coming back and proving otherwise. This is one of the few that I've seen that wasn't the case, and they also seem to do really well in the wear test results. So I think the promise of, I think it's around 1,400 parts per million zinc, seems to agree with an oil analysis I found on the internet. There is no rating on this oil, so I'm taking the manufacturer's word for it that this VR1 is going to protect my flat tappet cam. I really prefer the old method of you've got a rating and you have a spec that it has to pass, and you can feel pretty confident that if the oil has the rating that you're looking for, it's a good oil regardless of the brand. But now we're kind of getting in uncharted territory. So I'm going to break the cam in on that, or the new lifter in on my used cam with this oil. Probably going overkill, and after I do this, I probably wouldn't hesitate to switch back to this. This is not ultra high spring pressure, super high performance engine. It's basically built to what a early 70s spec muscle car engine would be. So it's nothing radical, and I'm just looking to just get it back together and have it run right. I'm going to add a little fuel to my primer bottle for my Holley carb. I always like to prime the carburetors if it's been several weeks since the vehicle's been run, and this one's been down for a little bit. What I like to do is dump 1.5 to 2 ounces in each float bowl, and then I'll take the remaining ounce, or I'll take an ounce or so when I'm ready to start the vehicle, and I'll take that ounce and just sprinkle it into the 4 barrels on the carb just to wet it down really good. So you just have to sit there grinding on the starter to get it to start. That's something I want to avoid while we're breaking in this new tappet on this used camshaft, is I want a quick light off. So one thing I noticed about these Holley carbs, if they've been sitting a while, the gaskets have a tendency to dry out, especially now that we are running the fuel that has the ethanol in it. And so what I like to do is prime the carb a couple hours before I start the vehicle, and that gives the gaskets and the O-rings a little time to soak up the fuel and the vapor, and they usually swell right up, so you don't have any leaks on startup. A lot of people will take and rebuild a Holley carb if it's been on a car sitting for, you know, extended length of time, even, you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. In reality, if they would have just walked away from it when it started leaking and give the gaskets a couple of hours to swell up, a lot of times they'll fix themselves. So that's a trick that I learned to do several years ago, and I practice it on all 3 of my cars. All 3 of them have Holley carburetors. And we're just going to add a couple ounces in each bowl. That was 1 ounce. We'll see if we can get away with dumping a little more in there. Okay. Go just a tad more. That sounds pretty full. Yeah, we got about 1.5 in there. And we'll come over here. It seems like the rear one always has a tendency to spill more a little bit. We'll just put a little down in there. Okay, that one actually ran over, so I think that one had plenty in it. And then when I'm ready, I'm just going to sprinkle 1 ounce or so in each of those 4 barrels before I start it for a quick light off, so I'm not trying to continually spin this thing over when we're trying to break in a new tappet. This is going to be the last thing we do inside. Again, I apologize, I know the lighting isn't the best in here, but it's just cold still today. We let her drain overnight, and I just put the drain plug back in, and we're gonna fill her up with this VR1 stuff. Oh, that's nifty. It sure smells like it's got more zinc in it. I don't know. I believe the claim. I'm gonna say that's 1,400 parts per million. We're gonna fill her up, and I was lazy and didn't take the oil filter off, and it's a shorty because of the headers, so I'm probably going to put about 4.5 quarts in here, and that's going to top it off. And what I really want is instant oil pressure and instant light off. So I don't want to have any delay from the time it starts till it starts splashing oil all over that camshaft lobe. And that Melling brake-in lube I put on there, that'll stay on for a few seconds if you're running her dry. But you really need to get the thing running and pumping oil quickly. So I don't think a 1/2 quart of that Wally World Super Tech in there is going to make a whole lot of difference. And I'm probably being overkill with this anyway. Still tasting that zinc, but you know, with all of the stuff that's going around, they say you got to have a zinc-rich diet. So since both of us are practically in the 50 and over club, I think I'm going to put both of us on a high zinc diet, and maybe neither one of us will get the vapors this year. Got her rolled out, so we got some good light. It's pretty toasty out here today in the sun. I'd say it feels like 40. So we're just gonna take our plastic squirt bottle, and I'm just gonna come in here, and I'm just gonna dump a little down each barrel. I didn't mean to do that back one first, but that's okay. We're just gonna get in there. We just want to wet them down a little bit. We want a fast light off. Of course, we don't want to flood it, but it's cold out here, and she should just fire it up. And I might even just empty the squirter a little bit and top off the barrel, top off the float or the float bowl. Put a little more in there to compensate. I think you get like two pumps on the accelerator pump, and then she's dry. So we'll go ahead and just set the air cleaner back on, and we'll be ready to light this thing off. Here's the moment of truth. Let's see if I can fire it up. There's going to be a lot of oil coming off of the headers.
Should it be smoking?
Is it coming off the headers? Yeah, it's okay. We got a lot of oil on the headers when we pulled the rockers. And you can hear that one lifter clacking. I probably should have pumped it up a little more. Oh, better set the timer on my watch so I know we've done 20 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes into it. No lifter clacking. All the smoke's gone. I think we're good. We're going to run it another 10 just to be safe. Close enough to 20 minutes right there. We're just going to back her on down. She's nice and quiet, no clacking. Let's take a step outside and see how she looks under the hood. Down there too. Oil running down the block. That's always a good thing. Looks like the rockers are sealed up tight. Over here. There's no oil leaking out anywhere. Got a little oil leaking down our oil cap. I forgot to wipe it off. After the oil fill. Going back here. Everything's looking pretty dry back there. She's looking pretty good. She's idling. I didn't have to touch one thing. This is exactly how she's idling when we fired it up. I haven't touched any adjustments, anything. She's running just like she did before. Exhaust looks good. Nothing smoking, nice and quiet. Alright, I'm going to pronounce this one fixed. I guess the only thing left to do is a test drive. First thing we want to do is warm up the hands. Oh yeah. Oh, this feels good right here. This isn't even like hot. Oh, that's hot. I think I'm just thawing my hands out. Yep, just giving it the once over. It isn't leaking a drop anywhere. She's tight. Those end seals are sealed up tight. The crossovers aren't weeping or anything. The rockers are tight. The new hoses are tight. Bypass hose is sealed up tight. Heater hoses are tight. I don't see anything running down the firewall. Yep, she's all tight. Yep, it looks good. I think we did her some good. And the upside is she's not going to leave puddles all over the driveway anymore. except for the stuff that's still running off of her from when we trained the radiator before. This sure made a mess of things, but that's okay. I think I also pushed a little power steering fluid out of the old power steering pump when I was cranking on it when the engine wasn't running, but that's no big deal. Yep, mission accomplished. I think we accidentally fixed something on this one. So we're probably not going to road test the Duster today. We only had about 40 minutes of daylight left when we shot that last scene yesterday, and we were just going to do a road test this morning and then splice it all together, but we weren't counting on getting snowed out. So I promise next video will show us taking her for a spin. Thanks for watching. I have got to say that is just the coolest go-kart ride I have ever taken. It's just cold today. It's just a little cold. Yeah, probably should wear my gloves. Brr.